how do you build a sales pitch that, if you don't have a big presentation or a PowerPoint and all this stuff, like here's my sales pitch so that I know that my sales guy is going to go through all the important stuff on every one of these site visits with a homeowner. He'll talk about gutters and the pipe boots, and then he'll talk about the other FAQs that I want to make sure he brings up. And then this is kind of that last sheet of, hey, here's what else we might have for you, and try and answer the questions that will save you a phone call from a customer later because you've outlined that ahead of time.
Yep. Makes sense. Well, no, I love this. We're getting into down here the more standard stuff generated by Proline. The
Yeah, one of the things we're working on next is we're just now that I know we got the header options in here, we're going to do some custom headers just so the branding stays consistent on these other pages.
yeah.
Because that'll be the nice thing. I think I was thinking through this more, where it's like, the homeowner that might print this off when they say, hey, I'm going to print these bids off at the table. We've got this beautiful quote, but if they only print these 3 pages, it's really nice that Proline's got the ability for me to just throw a little bit of a branding header on those additional good, better, best pages to, if they don't print it all, they still see that stuff up top. So
Yep.
that's the missing cherry on top that I'm going to take care of for John. So
Love that. It's gonna be awesome. John, just as you mute your mic to deal with something.
I'm so
uh,
sorry that I've been interrupting this whole time.
I know.
Okay, quick notes. I really enjoy working with Chris. We have known each other for a little while. If you are in the roofing space, you probably struggle with implementation, just in general. Whether you're a production guy or a sales guy, you probably struggle with implementation, actually doing the things you know you're supposed to do. You also may think you know what you're supposed to be doing, and you haven't narrowed it down enough. Like the marketing blueprint is exactly what I find valuable for any company. And it's just not, you can't go into a Facebook group and say, hey, can I do, you can get some information, but you're not really going to get the correct information for your business and who your ideal customer is. If you are thinking about all these consultants and all these coaches and all this, like it can be Chris, it can be anyone. There's good people, there's bad people. What Chris does is he identifies and then he implements. And that is really, really important for all of us. It doesn't matter if you're good at it either. If you're great at either one of those things, you need another person to help you be better at the identification of your ideal customer, ideal job type. And you need to do it pretty frequently too. You can't just say I've done it and then I'm done, because it does change. Each year, our ideal customer changes slightly. Our ideal job changes, the size, all those things are really, really important to understand what marketing's working, what marketing is not working, where you should put your dollars towards, where you shouldn't. And then you can have all that planned. You can do all that great work and take all that time and work with your team. But if you don't actually do it, it doesn't matter. So that's the value that I found that Chris brings to roofing contractors. From my perspective, it's you just need someone to walk alongside you to do those two things. We're too busy. I mean, as we've been on this call, one reason I've been quiet is because I'm dealing with an issue and then I'm dealing with another issue. And it's like, I've got a team that helps support me and I'm still having to do these things. So you need to take time out of your weekly schedule and get this set up so that you're identifying and implementing these things on a consistent basis. That's my
Absolutely.
That's a
that's
it's
my
a good
that's my note.
segue to a thought, because I know the next step is like, okay, so like sell sheets, the operation stuff. So one of my clients that I worked with, they've got a team of 3 sales guys, and he was talking to me, and he's like, it's just we're not hitting the numbers that we need to. I need somebody. He's like, I've never seen somebody with as good of a dashboard that they built themselves for all of their data, but it still was missing a couple pieces that wasn't letting him really see the full story. And so he's like, I don't know what's going on. The numbers aren't where they need to be. I'm spending too much on ads and I'm not getting what I think I need to. And so what I said is, all right, give me this data. Back in my corporate America days, and nerded out in Microsoft Excel, that was my jam, is like, let me do data analysis. And so what I did is I ended up pulling a lot of his existing data that he had, looking at it a little bit different way. And we started looking through, all right, if you don't know your sales performance by team person and by city, and you can't say, hey, how does this guy do in this city? And who's my best person in this city? Well, if one guy is batting 1 out of 50 and the other two are batting like 4 out of 10, we shouldn't send any appointments to Mr. 1 out of 50. And this was kind of a part of a bigger problem where we realized a lot of these issues aren't an operations issue. It's at the front of the line. It's like, let's look at that script that you're answering team, whether it's your answering service, your virtual assistant, your inside person. What's that script look like? And it's like, oh gosh, I can see why we're having these problems is because we're not qualifying people correctly. We're not doing these things correctly, which is leading to issues that pop up later down the line, whether that's sending the wrong people to the wrong appointment or going to appointments that we should never have gone to. It's like, why do you send your sales guy 45 minutes west when he lives 30 minutes east on a Friday at 3 o'clock for a $500 fascia trim repair? It's like, no wonder you can't keep people. And I'm not speaking to that account because he's awesome with his team. But like, owners that aren't considering those things, it's like, why am I getting turnover? Why are people leaving? It's like, because you don't have a good process to think about the jobs you're asking your people to do. And it's like, if we have sales guys that can crush it and sell 5-figure, $60,000 siding jobs, it's like, he should never go look at a job less than $20,000. Like, don't put it on his plate. And so what we ended up doing was creating kind of his sales territory map where we built strategy for him and his business that works for the capabilities of his team and the guys on his team. And now we set it up so he's got one guy that's just the repair small projects and specific zip codes. And then the A and B plus player, they are all the big projects, none of the little projects. And then the additional layer that we're adding and working on implementing right now is, how do we say the stuff that we should say no to that's kind of out of our territory? Can we say yes to that if we've shown them some numbers ahead of time and save us some of that legwork of these site visits? And so we're now working on building if you're outside of this of our core area, we'll still say yes, but you need to send us pictures. We're going to give you an estimate ahead of time and get this so that if I do come out for a site visit, we know what we're getting into and we have a rough cost, and I'm not sending my best guy to a $2,500 siding repair project.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. You gotta have that data though to make that decision.
Yeah, so but a lot of times people have the data and you don't need all of the data and like all the specifics and financials and stuff, but there's a lot of things like throw the darts on the map, throw your wins, throw your bids, like let's draw that radius. And like I've shown some people that it's like your guys have probably collectively wasted 400, 500 hours driving to these jobs on these outside rings. And you think through like, who's my ideal customer? Well, who's the people that has other neighbors? Like Brad Akers talks about like his neighborhood referral strategy. It's like, yes, go after stuff like this where you're going to get a neighborhood that's got more people that live in it. Don't send that guy for this job that's 45 minutes west that nobody else lives near him. Like maybe you do get it, but he also could have just saved 2 hours of his day and gone and talked to some neighbors while he's in the neighborhood, or dropped by a real estate office in that area, or whatever it might be. And so those are the things where it's like the owner, and it's tough as the owner, as the sales guy, because it's like the same thing. You start as the guy, you're like, I got to make the sale, I got to keep the crews busy, and I got to sell everything we can when we're slow. We'll bid yes to everything, but you forget how much time you lose not tending to your ideal customers by paying attention to those non-ideal customers.
Could not agree more. Shout out to Brad Akers. We're going through his training right now. Very excited about that. And I've always been a proponent of efficiency and not wasting time. People just do not realize how much time it takes to go do one inspection if you're just driving to everything. They don't realize how much,
Dude,